Three guys were arrested today because of a single tweet, which exposed them for insider trading. But before we interview the man responsible for all this chaos, let me just say, this might be the single and only positive use of Twitter ever. Here I thought it was a place for mentally ill people like myself to seek attention and validation, but apparently you can also get people arrested, which is pretty cool, because the Department of Justice and FBI link a tweet in their indictment as if it was the thing that got the Scooby-Doo gang together. Now, as happy as I am that the Blue Bird solved the case, I have to say it feels a bit strange that the FBI is monitoring Twitter to catch actual criminals, and it sort of begs the question, what's the real future of police work? I'm sure a lot of people join up thinking they're going to be raiding houses, but maybe the future is you're raiding Minecraft houses. Maybe you build your career by busting a metaverse mafia. I mean, I guess on the one hand, it's a good sign that they're paying attention to what's going on out there. On the other hand, it turns out when you look into this, that the insider trading going on was actually pretty well known about. And that's why I brought on the man responsible for all of this, Kobe. He's a podcaster, famous crypto guy, but most importantly, he's the Twitter tweeter who got these guys locked up. And I was hoping he could sort of get me to the bottom of this, help me figure out how he found out about it. But the first thing he told me was actually that he was a bit disappointed in how things were being handled and thought that maybe people were focusing on the wrong issue. How's it going? How are you? Your tweet got someone arrested. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't feel great about that because the person I was criticizing is not the person that got arrested. The person that got arrested, it seems like collateral damage. I was criticizing the institution that the person that got arrested worked for. And I know the person that got arrested was doing something very silly and criminal and illegal. But yeah, I guess that is what happened. They got arrested.
It seemed like from my conversation with him, Kobe was more upset at the institution Coinbase where this happened than at the front runner themselves. This is despite Coinbase's CEO coming out today saying that they were part of the reason that this guy got arrested, they cooperated with the feds, etc. But Kobe doesn't see it this way. Coinbase, at least for a long time, hasn't been the solution. They've been the problem.
Coinbase has had listings front-running issues for a while. Originally, they only listed like Bitcoin, and they had this policy that they were only going to list like the best of the best. And then as time passed and we got to like the last couple of years and meme stocks became a thing, and obviously they went public, they started losing market share. So they sort of changed their policy and started listing like real garbage. But at the same time, they started having a lot of issues around people buying the garbage they were listing beforehand.
So people were making money on Coinbase front running these trades for years. They would just find out whatever Coinbase was going to list, buy it up before it listed, and sell it immediately after. In fact, it turns out it was such a problem that Coinbase tried to address this issue at the time, but with no success.
Then they published this blog post about how they're going to change all their listing processes so that this stuff cannot happen in the future and they can get better controls around it. And then at the very next listing, every single coin got front run once again. And I'm in a little group of crypto people who look at interesting blockchain stuff, and someone sent this Etherscan link and said, hey, has anyone looked into this? I think these things are going to get listed on Coinbase because they all got bought again by a person who front run successfully last time. Has anyone looked into, does anyone know what any of these are? Some of them seem like really garbage. I think one of them was called The Food or something. I looked at that link, I waited for the coins to get added. About 80% of the ones that were bought on this day were added. So then I tweeted the screenshot of everything he'd purchased and the blog post a few weeks ago saying we're tightening up our controls, just to say Coinbase is clearly incompetent at these issues. They're unable to stop it. No, they've just done this whole song and dance about how much they're going to improve the ecosystem and how much they care about getting these things right. And the very next coin listing has been front run.
Wow. This whole case contradicts Coinbase, who claims that they were actively monitoring for illegal activity. But honestly, from the looks of it, it looks like the only thing they were monitoring was Twitter, because ultimately they didn't launch this investigation until after someone had proved it on the blockchain. And it's probably time we talk about this investigation and the main guy arrested in this case. His name was Ashan Wahi, and he was an employee at Coinbase who was on the team responsible for listing the new crypto tokens on the exchange. He insider traded by buying the coins he knew they would be listing in a bit, and then after the price pumped, he'd profit by selling them, which is obviously illegal and market manipulation. And the only reason that there are 3 guys listed in this indictment and 3 guys who got arrested is because the employee decided that he wanted his brother and friend in on the scam. He wanted to share the wealth and share a jail cell, I guess. In total, they allegedly made $1.5 million, which honestly are rookie numbers. Let's be real, guys. You got to pump those up. I mean, they're going to go to jail and guys are absolutely going to be laughing at them. Like, you went to jail for $1.5 million in fraud. Like, do you need a baby bottle to go with your itsy bitsy fraud? This is sort of why I find myself thinking that Kobe's sort of right here, that maybe the most interesting part of this case is not the actual criminals, but the system that allowed this to even happen.
I don't think a guy stealing $1.5 million over the course of 18 months is even the interesting part of the story. The interesting part of the story is for 18 months, an institution had this guy in charge of like coin listing stuff, was unable to identify that he was just like stealing from people by front running. And then anonymous users on like the internet can find out about it, or I can tweet about it. And then all of a sudden there's an investigation into it. I just don't understand what processes they have in place for that to be how that works.
Now, to that very important question, what processes are in place? I think Kobe's forgetting about the most important process of all that clearly they have abided by, which is one that's even trusted by the FBI. You check Twitter. Although I don't want to just dunk on the feds and Coinbase here, because it does seem like they did a pretty good job investigating and arresting the guy after they found out what was happening. I'm talking about the main guy, Wahi, because according to the indictment, Coinbase was supposed to interrogate him when he suddenly decided to flee the country. He told them that he had a medical emergency involving his father. Wahi then purchased an airline ticket due to board only 11 hours later to flee to India, and somehow they caught him. I mean, despite almost no warning beforehand, they arrested him before he left the country. So bravo to that. That's pretty awesome that they were able to do that. But I also hope we're not learning the wrong lessons here, where we just punish a few guys for crimes that have been going on for years only after someone tweets about it. I mean, what's next? Are we going to make some TikTok deputies, some Instagram enforcers? I guess I get the irony that I'm the internet detective here saying that, but I do ultimately think there probably should be a division between influencers and law enforcement. I don't think those worlds should collide very often, but every now and then it does.